You're overstimulated and overwhelmed, but no one else seems to struggle like you do. The truth is, you need more than the average person to feel at peace. So here are 10 habits you can start right now to take care of your highly sensitive soul, starting with the biggest problem you face when you go out into the world. It happened to me when I moved to New York City to do a college semester abroad. If you've ever been there, you know that city never sleeps. There's loud sounds, really strong smells, and everything is go, 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 go. Which, don't get me wrong, can be so fun and motivating. John's never been, and I am just dying to go on a trip with him there. But the problem was, I was also sleeping on a cot in a mice-infested studio with 2 other girls. There was no privacy, no real way to recharge from the overstimulation of the city, and there were literal mice climbing out of the sink. As a result, I cried every single day of that semester. I didn't understand how all of my friends seemed to just be going with the flow of this new environment. It sucks, but it's the hard truth. You need to do more to be healthy in these situations. For example, it's my personal dream to be a magical forest fairy creature that lives in the woods, but HSPs actually are. In 2 different studies, it was found that the higher the HSP score, the more connected you are with nature. So one of the best ways to help with overstimulation is to engage in the awe effect. It's something that romantic artists like John Constable tried to capture in their paintings. You've probably felt this if you've looked at the view from a mountaintop or just laid on the grass and looked up at the sky. Suddenly, the struggles of daily life seem insignificant compared to the beauty around you. That's why one of the most important ways you can take care of yourself is giving yourself those awe moments. So next time you break out in stress hives, check out your local nature reserve or hiking trail. If you can, go early in the morning when it's quiet or there's no one around. For longer hikes, take a friend with you who doesn't chat too much. That way, you can stay safe while soaking in your peaceful surroundings. Whatever the context, nature is the most healing thing you can do to care for your high sensitivity, followed by probably the most annoying thing about being an HSP. If you have a sibling, maybe you've noticed a situation like that. Something upsetting happens in your family, right? You feel completely rocked by it. You're depressed, you feel sick, it is all you can think about. But your sibling is acting normally. Like, yeah, they're upset about it, but they're not impacted by it the way that you are. The difference is what the mother of HSP research, Elaine Aron, calls differential susceptibility. Basically, your sensitivity makes it way harder to deal with stress. But believe it or not, there's actually a benefit to this. Because HSPs are heavily affected by their environment, they also get more value out of positive spaces. That's why experts say that HSPs should enroll in an immersive learning or healing program. It could look like an art class or the History of the Roman Empire class. You could do learning at home with a book like Stop and Shift by Karen Allen, or take an online course like the ones from psychotherapist Julie Beeland. But there's one thing that everyone needs and no one gets enough of, but it's especially crucial for an HSP's healing process: a good night's rest. Most people say, get at least 8 hours of sleep a night, but many HSPs need more like 9 or 10 hours a night. Without it, you can get anxiety, depression, and it's just so much harder to function. But the irony is, it's actually harder for HSPs to fall asleep at night. I mean, let's be honest, we got a lot going on up here. Instead of binging TikTok videos till 2 a.m., try these 4 strategies that could totally transform your sleep. Number 1, give yourself time to unwind. Don't expect your brain to come home from a party and fall asleep immediately. Expect it to take an hour or 2 from the time you come home to the time you climb into bed. Number 2, stay away from screens. Choose a relaxing activity, listen to music, read a book, take a warm bath, whatever it is that signals to your body like, hey, the day is coming to a close. Number 3, avoid big meals before bed. It's okay to have a little snack. I mean, bedtime snacks are amazing, but nothing that makes you feel too heavy. Number 4, try to go to bed at the same time every night. This can be hard, especially if you have an unpredictable schedule, but it trains your brain to stick to a natural sleep-wake cycle. Then you've probably noticed that everything feels more important to you. So daily tasks seem so much more stressful to you than someone who just notices the big stuff. The key to this is making yourself sit down and think about what's the most important thing for the day. So think about the items on your to-do list. What are the things that absolutely have to get done? Sometimes things have a natural due date, like you have to pay your credit card on the 3rd of every month. But other things can be harder to figure out. That's why it's important to focus on things that have hard deadlines. Do you have a project that's due for work like tomorrow? It's time to spend your time on that. Did you promise your friend who just had a baby that you would bring her dinner? Make sure you leave enough time to get the groceries, do the cooking, and deliver the food. But with anything else in your life, think about how it will make you feel. Does this have to get done today? What am I doing to take care of myself? Arrange your schedule so that the items on your to-do list today bring you peace tomorrow. But I know that's easier said than done, especially when you have a tendency to overcommit. I know I do, and then I start beating myself up inside for not getting everything done or for taking a nap and wasting what would have been valuable productivity time. When this happens, it's time to self-soothe. But I have to admit, I'm really bad at this. In fact, sometimes I have to ask John just to do it for me. But the essence of it is talking to yourself like a dear friend. It's okay you didn't get everything done. No one is keeping score. You still deserve that piece of chocolate cake you were saving for after you finished your list. It's okay. Eat that cake. This next tip might be hard for you to hear if you feel like your brain isn't fully alive until you've had your first cup of coffee in the morning. But HSPs are super sensitive to caffeine, and I feel a little called out right now because I am drinking a Celsius. The thing is, coffee or energy drinks give you this rush of energy when you might actually need a more calming break instead. In fact, too much coffee also affects your adrenal glands. The reason this is dangerous for you is it actually produces hormones that make you even more stressed, as if we need more stress in our lives. So if you're contributing to things that make life harder for your body, you're just asking for burnout. But that doesn't mean you can't enjoy your favorite part of the morning. Let's be real, no YouTube video or any article or anything would ever make me give up my morning cup of joe. A little bit's okay, as long as you don't feel like you're gonna jump out of your skin. But none of these tips will help if we don't address the damaging thing that you've been told over and over and over again. You're too sensitive. This led you to believe that your sensitivity was a bad thing, but that's so far from the truth. The world needs every type of person, and your sensitivity allows you to have this deep well of empathy for other people. But you also need to have empathy for yourself. Yeah, everyone has lingering issues or trauma from their childhood that affect their adult life. If you're an HSP who grew up with authoritative parents or experienced abuse or trauma or any other unhealed wounds, it's really important for you to listen to those hurts and get help. This could look like therapy for more serious issues or a support group with other people who've experienced similar things. Working with your inner child means you can learn how to change harmful patterns and move toward healing. But there's something else you need to say bye. You really want to heal your sensitive soul. It could be something simple, like popping your zits every night before bed. It could also be more complicated, like saying yes to babysitting your best friend's kids, even though you had a horrible day at work and all you want to do is come home and sit in your room alone in the dark so that you can recharge. These negative habits really wear you down, but the only way to break them is to figure out what your bad habits are. So spend some time writing down habits that make you stressed or anxious. Let's say you always eat too much chocolate before you go to sleep. Instead of eating chocolate, eat a handful of strawberries. It's still a sweet little snack, but it's not gonna make your stomach hurt. This last, and I think most important tip is best explained by the story Elaine Aron shared on her blog. Her 11-year-old grandson is really good at sailing. Every time he's adjusting his sails, people say, "I can't believe someone your age can do that." But then when they go sailing together, she hears people talking about her, saying, "I can't believe how agile you are on that boat, especially at your age." That's when she and her grandson decided they were gonna stop saying ageist things like that in their own conversations. Because the truth is, you get to decide who you are. You don't need to accept stereotypes of what you should and shouldn't do as a highly sensitive person. In fact, Just take should out of your vocabulary. Focus on what works for you and forget about everything else that doesn't. But if you don't even know what extent your high sensitivity affects your life, it's going to be hard to know what does work for you, which is why it's important to know what your level of sensitivity is. That way you can choose what coping mechanisms make sense for you. You can figure that out in this next video, which walks you through the levels of sensitivity that might be affecting your daily life.